Good morning, all. We'll start the meeting for the Dutchess County IDA. And Jasmine, will you take the roll call?
Mark Doyle.
Here.
Emily Bondaderi.
Here.
Tom McCall.
Here.
Jim McComb.
Here.
Brian Marion. Lane Belmonte.
Here.
Christopher Munn.
Here. Thank you. So, are there any conflict of interest disclosures? We don't have a lot here. Yeah, thank you. Meeting notice went out. Time, bills and communications, none.
There's none.
Let's take a look at the minutes. If there aren't any changes requested, we'll take a motion. Carson,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
thank you, Jasmine.
Amy Bondaderi.
Approve.
Tom McCall.
Approve.
Jim McComb.
Approve.
Lane Belmonte. Christopher Munn.
Yes.
Do you call my name out? Approve.
And Mark.
Jane, if you would give us the financial report, please.
Okay. Looking at the balance sheet as of February 28th, 2026, we have 3.2 million in cash. If you go down to accounts payable, there's 918,000. Those are the pilot payments that are set up to be paid this week. There's also a $43,900 accounts payable. That's agribusiness and RBT that will be paid this week for 2025. Looking at the P&L, we have 37,000 before the pilot payments, 37,000 to a budget of 327,000, and so far we're unfavorable by 290,000. We had pilot payments coming in of almost 1.6 million. Going down, we have expenditures of 433,000 this month. Tourism was paid their first payment of their contract, and the LDC was paid 200,000 for their contract. We have total expenses of 432,000 to a budget of 764,000. So far we're favorable by 332,000. We have a net loss of 396,000 to a budgeted net loss of 438,000. So far we're favorable by 42,000. So it's still early in the year.
Right, thank you. Yes, we do have committee reports. So we have the finance and audit discussion and a vote for approval of that at the end of that discussion. If you'd like to lead that off, James.
Sure. The Finance Committee met last week on March 4th here. We met with our auditor from RBT, Shannon. She presented us the audit. We went through the audit. So if you'd like to take a peek, the first page of the audit is the report. We had a clean report, no issues, which is fantastic. Then the next 3 or 4 pages are just the comments and how they arrive at their audit. When you get to page 7 is where you start to get into the meat of the report. And basically what it says is that we have cash of 2.6 million, accounts receivable 585 million, total cash of 3.186 million, which is a decrease of 71,000 from the prior year. The accounts receivable is the money that's sitting in from Marabou and Belfields for their fees that are payable over a few years, correct, Jane?
Correct.
There's a long-term receivable, which is the Arthur May, that's due in 2028, 120,000. The Cricket Valley deposit is the money that we're holding. It shows up as a deposit and it shows up as a liability down below, so it really just cancels. We're just holding it as part of the deal. So if you look down at the bottom, after reviewing the cash, our total net position is 3.2 million, down from 3.8 million, but it's still a very strong position on our balance sheet. If you turn the page to page 8, we had administrative fees in closing in 2025 was Marabou and my writing.
That was prior year, 2024, we had Mirbeau and Harlem Valley.
Harlem Valley, that's what it says in my handwriting, of 725,000 versus 80 of this year. So this year's operating revenues were extremely light. Professional and service contracts increased by $23,000. Our interest income on the CDs that we have in the bank for all the cash that we're holding, as previously stated, was down to 120 from a previous year of 133, but we still have strong interest income. Again, that gets us to the net operating position of 3.25 million versus the 3.8 from the year before. On page 9, cash flows from activities. It's pretty much shows how the money came in and the money came out. We had $375,000 coming in. Payments for our contracts and vendors was $767,000. So we burned $391,000 of our cash last year, which pretty much gave us kind of a deficit into our balance sheet, as I explained before on page 1, that, we are balance sheet heavy. Our funding was cut last year in half by the county for no other reason but us having a strong balance sheet. So that was able to them fund us less and let us use our reserves, which we should be good for the next 3 to 5 years. And that is our audit for 2025. One of the more important issues is that they study our controls and our accounting procedures within the IDA, and there were no issues from the CPA regarding our management, which is shows how Jane has meticulously done our books with no errors or oversights or anything missed. So we had a clean bill of health as far as our audit and our procedures that Jane follows at the IDA. Does that make sense in audit gibberish? So again, overall, clean opinion, decrease in our net position. Obviously, we knew that was in our budget, and no material defects or any faults by our organization on how we do our books. So that's always good.
Fantastic report. Thank you, Jim.
So with that being said, if nobody has any questions, and you could always take this home and read it, I would like a motion to approve the 2025 audit as presented in front of you.
I'll make a motion to approve the audit.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
One second. Okay. Amy Bondieri. Tom McCall.
Approve.
Jim Cone.
Approve.
Lane Belmonte.
Approve.
Christopher Munn.
Approve.
Mark Wall.
Approved. Jane, congratulations.
Thank you, Jane.
Stunning. I mean,
Good job.
sitting with the auditor during the meeting, the fact that she had so little to say about, any of the
Internal controls and
Well, yeah, I mean, as a reporting, but generally one will hear a little twitter about how hard it was to get to the end point, and there was none of that. So that's fantastic. Yeah. I have been involved with other organizations.
Yeah.
Heard it go differently. So anyway, in the process. Well, thank you. All right. So that leaves us with the question of any unfinished business. Done?
Well, the policy review.
Oh, we want to
committee
do the policy review.
Correct.
Thank you. Right.
I'll give that update.
Yes, thank you.
The policy review committee met in February with the purpose of clarifying our FOIL policy, and with regard specifically to when a requester asks for documents to measure and level their expectations. So essentially, we aligned our FOIL more closely with our FOIL policy with the state's FOIL policy, and notifying the requester that when they submit a request for documents, we will acknowledge within 5 days that we've received the request. What our previous FOIL policy indicated is that within 5 days, there will be some sort of action. It was confusing. And so with us clarifying the language, within 5 business days, there will be acknowledgement of the request. And within 20 business days following, there will be action on the request. And essentially, we changed the language to manage the expectations of the requester.
I have a question. So is it 20 days following the 5-day
Correct.
initial period?
Correct. So 25 business days in total, but 5 business days to measure. We've had incident where a request will come in over the weekend, and if we're not acknowledging it until, the next business day, and there could be instance where the next business day, there's either a holiday or a snow day, as was something we experienced early on this year. And so we just wanted to make sure that our policy was clear so that the requester understood when the time would toll there to be acknowledgement and then answer or action.
So those 5 days are just 5 ordinary days, not business days?
Business days.
Business days.
Correct. Correct.
And these are the maximums.
Correct.
Set. These
Correct.
are not, this is how long we get to not respond.
Well
Correct.
understood.
Right.
And so the language in the policy actually says within,
Right.
right?
Right.
And if necessary, and the policy also speaks to that, if we're unable to take action within the 20 days or the entire 25 business days, we will be in constant communication with the requester to measure that expectation.
Right.
There are instances where it takes a little bit longer.
Well, it depends on
And
the
so-
request. Yeah.
Correct. And so as long as we communicate back with them, hey, we're working on it, this is what we can give you at this particular time, and the remainder of it we'll get to as soon as we have that information in hand and able to forward to you, or provide the documents to you in person if a requester so chooses to come into the office. But it's really to eliminate confusion.
I have a couple questions.
Absolutely.
How many FOIL requests would you say we receive in a year?
In 2025, there were a total of 7.
Okay. And typically they're responded, how long does it take before the requester has the materials in their hand on average?
Yeah, typically the response, and on average last year, it was within 15 days, 15 business days.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we did experience earlier this year was a request that came in that asked us to go back to the maximum number of years allowable under the FOIL request, inclusive of emails. And
Oh, well, yeah. Okay.
that took an extensive amount of time, of my time.
Yeah.
And
That was because we had to get the computer company to go back and retrieve
Correct.
the emails.
Correct. And so in that instance is when I realized, oh my gosh, had we only followed what our FOIL policy stated, which provided some ambiguity, then there would have been an issue. And thankfully, I remained in constant communication with the requester
Right.
and set the expectation. And that triggered me to then speak with and work with our counsel to revise the policy so that it level set.
Right, because
Yeah.
requests can vary from the more onerous, which
Correct.
actually even more onerous than that would be going back through 7 years of paper records.
Correct.
Or 5 years or whatever the number is usually, to 7 and 10.
7 years.
7 years.
And in that instance, we did have to go
You went into the
through.
paper records. as
Correct.
well.
We had to go
Right.
through paper records. We went back through
Yeah.
email, and then put it all together and emailed it over to the requester. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah. And so we just want to measure expectation. Happy to provide, what's being asked.
Yeah.
But just want to make sure that we set the expectation.
Yeah, well, there's a balance in the law so that organizations are not overwhelmed by malicious foils, which could, if there was a mandatory requirement to respond within 20 days, you could have a coordinated attack. If somebody wanted to paralyze or even, cost money to an organization.
Correct.
Versus people who are, obviously the public's entitled to the information and we want to make sure they get it. So I think aligning with the state rules makes sense.
And with regards to transparency, there is, our website is in compliance with the ABO. And so there's already quite a bit of information provided on our website should someone look for or interested in something. But this one request went beyond, and so it really took up the full, it took about 30 days for me to pull everything together. Yeah. But
Because of
constant,
requested emails,
because of
yeah.
requested emails and back and forth communication
And when
with the requester.
When a FOIL request comes in, is the board notified or typically it's?
Typically, no, we manage it in-house unless it's something that could put the board, in an unfavorable position or in a difficult position. And so we then refer to our counsel for guidance.
Yeah.
And if it's something, I don't want to,
That's fine.
then we'll notify the board. But this was something that just required us to go back to the maximum number of years.
Right. So
with the records.
communication about board business, even on, as everyone here probably knows, communication about board related business, even on private accounts is foilable. So if I were to, for whatever reason, communicate with Mark about about something that was, in front of the IDA,
Yeah.
between our private emails, and a FOIL came in saying, I'd like all emails related to Project A. If we were not aware that had been foiled, then Mark and I would not be able to supply that information. So that might be something when that kind of thing comes in, at least maybe a note to us in case something like that had occurred. Just for the sake of completeness, it's not a question of having to turn over all our emails. It's just we go through our own and find. Yeah. So, I mean,
Right.
having been in government planning boards and zoning boards and, received communications in various ways, including in text messages are also foilable if they're on
Yes.
the business, not private asides and so forth.
And
So.
hence something, because my experience coming from government operations and having malicious
Sure.
FOIL requests is what led me to make these changes. I've had that experience and even had to go through the efforts of in my previous role, not with regards to what happened with this request, but to
Yeah.
ask for text messages and personal emails and such. So wanted to make sure that we just measured expectation
Right.
and align this policy with regards to the law.
So when a FOIL request comes in, consider that in terms of, in case there is correspondence on private channels that we may need to be notified. And board members obviously should be aware that, actually to simplify that, if we're talking about board business, we could even CC staff and then they would already have a copy of those emails.
Right.
And then we wouldn't have to go through that rigmarole.
Right. I mean,
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'd like to just say that, instead of positioning this as and you did initially, instead of positioning this as a security against potential maliciousness, we really are looking at transparency and
Correct.
providing
Right.
full and adequate transparency to.
Well, the rules
our
protect an
residents.
organization not from providing the information, but from
Yeah.
the rare,
Case of.
so that that our operations are not encumbered irrationally
Yeah.
and unreasonably. So that we are able to provide a timeline and then extend the timeline if there's too much, requested, or even, I think there's compensation, situations where, like, if acquiring the information or providing the information, if they wanted to print it or something like that,
Correct.
there can be fees. So, I mean, it's all part of the balance. So, but yes, the reason for this is not, or of anything that's happened.
No.
It's just, yes, we want to make that clear. Yes. Absolutely.
Now, but there is one other sort of circumstance that we probably could talk about just a little bit since we're on the subject, and that is if a request comes in directly to a board member, what is the course of action in that case?
It's to be forwarded to
The records officer.
to the records officer, which is, I am the records officer. And then I communicate back with the requester. And that's when the timeline begins.
I thought I would just make sure that was
Yeah,
out on
that
the
was
table.
clear. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Good.
Robin,
you.
just maybe a suggestion on the writing of the policy.
Sure.
'Cause I think you said 25 days.
In total. So if it's
Yeah.
5 days.
Right,
And
and
then 20 days, business days.
Yeah, so this B is written, it says 20 business days following receipt of the request.
Okay.
So you
We'll
want to
change
say
those.
following acknowledgement.
Okay,
Following the-
okay.
Correct.
Okay.
The second page, or page 3, this is the new policy?
This is a draft.
So reports, requested to be done in writing, can we put an email there? An email address, because it looks like it's gotta be mailed in or hand delivered.
Okay. So we'll include, yeah.
Or on the website, however, digitally, some kind of digital option.
Okay.
Thanks.
You should also, also want to review E under FOIL requests, because anonymous FOIL requests are allowed under
What
law.
was that?
E,
E is what's not allowed?
anonymous FOIL requests are allowed.
Okay.
Obviously, you need a channel to be able to communicate, but that could be an undescribed, it could be an email with, without the person's name. They don't want to be identified. They have still have a right to the information. So requiring name, mailing address, and telephone number. I think the request just needs to have, we don't have to specify what it doesn't need. It just needs to have a way to communicate back to them and in terms of providing them the information or clarification.
Okay.
So I think that's reasonable. I know at the state level, it's anonymous foils are allowed. So if we're going to align with that.
Liz and Don, you've been through all of this.
I mean, with respect to the recent suggestions,
Yeah.
I would just want to look and make sure that everything matches up. But as far as the proposed changes, I was certainly comfortable that they align with what New York State law would require.
But does that mean that you would like us to hold off on a vote on this, or?
So the ones that were just recently, are you looking to make these changes now and adopt those as part of this meeting today, or would you want to revisit?
We can revisit, just, for a point of clarification. The only changes to the policy as adopted prior, so let's say in 2025, is the clarification around the timeline within which there would be a response. There was no additional changes to the policy. So if we can table this until, or adjourn it, or whatever the
Postpone it.
appropriate, postpone it until April, which would then allow everyone, I'll circulate it around for everyone to,
With the changes and just
the
revisit.
changes to go
The actual
through.
language before we vote on it is a good idea.
Great.
Is there anything else anybody had on any of the other?
I think that's best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll postpone it and put it back on the agenda for April, but I'll circulate around the changes within the next few days for everyone to comb through, but it'll be after Don and or Liz has a chance to review the
Good.
additional changes.
Very good. I don't think we have to vote to table it. We'll just go ahead and table it. Good. Thank you. Great. Good discussion. So, under new business, you want to, Robin,
So.
discuss what we're planning here?
Right, so there's no unfinished business. And for new business, we will be reviewing the 2025 Paris report, which is a accumulation of all project-based activity, financial activity during the prior fiscal year. Our fiscal year aligns with the calendar year, January 1 to December 31. And the Paris report has the annual report, the investment, procurement, as well as the audit encapsulated in it. And once approved and finalized, it's then reported to the ABO via an online mechanism. And so, Jane, did you want to take us through the Paris report?
Well, basically, the annual report is 83 pages long. It's, the standard questions are asked every year. So the first part, it lists the board of directors. We do have one vacant spot as of 12/31. It has to be as of 12/31. So we did have one vacant spot. Lists the two officers. And as you go on page, I think it's 10 and 11, it's actually the audited financial statements are populated into the financial information that they request. And there's specific questions that are asked, you know, as our policies or, you know, so those are, we have to insert the website.
URL.
Yeah. And then from page 18 to 83 are all the projects. Highlighted, I think there may be, Nearbo is one of the projects that has not been finalized. If you noticed on the audited financial statements, we had 3 asterisks. That's the only information that we haven't received fully yet. So it was an open item on audit, but it's supplemental information. So there was a little blurb saying that it wasn't available at the time of audit.
But it's available now or no?
I believe Peter received the final information. I'm not 100%
What
sure.
information is that on Mirabeau?
It would be the sales tax.
Oh, okay, the exemption.
ST 340. I believe one was missing. So technically, I didn't want to have it included in the audited financial statements because it was an incorrect number.
Okay.
So it just has the 3 asterisks. I did highlight anything that came in after this report was prepared that had minor changes. An example is on page 75, Belfield. Is if you see highlighted, that has now changed. I'm not exactly sure what, I think it's instead of 28,000, it's it's 33,000. There was an adjustment that came in,
On page 75, right?
correct?
Where are you, I don't see 20, where's? What-
Right
With
hand
the
side.
addition of those two.
Excuse me? Yeah.
Some of those two.
Yes,
Some
so
of the
some. Sorry, I don't have my,
28, right.
I don't have my adding machine.
No, that's fine. That's 28,
Yeah, so-
and it's changed to what?
I believe, I don't have the numbers in front of
Okay.
me, but what I did was, for the report, if something came in that was corrected after I had done, we printed the report, Peter got extra information. I highlighted it so that you'll know that these, there will be changes to those numbers, just minor changes.
But all the sales tax is monitored on the forms that they send in.
Correct.
Is it quarterly or annual?
We do one in June and then year end. So technically, it's the obligation of the agent that has an ST60 to file an ST340. And they're required, according to the agreement, to provide us a copy so that we can report it.
Right, because in all my years, there's only been one error that we had to adjust for, where they took too much out, I think. I don't know if it was
Oh, we had a recapture.
Yeah, we had a recapture.
Bellfield had a recapture.
too much sales tax.
Yeah, that was taken care of, I forget, it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, okay.
And then I think Eastdale might have had one minor amount. So all the project information, it remains the same except for the project, except for the sales tax that activity, and then also pilot payments. So everything on here, the pilot, the actual tax that would have been paid is on here. And then the actual payment that we received is also populated. So that's all the information, and then the FTEs. So that information is also provided in the audited financial statements and supplement information. Then we have the investment report, which cannot be, couldn't be completed until we get the audited financial statement. So I just put in the answers that we're going to have, and then I'll put the link to the website for the investment. And procurement is basically the vendors over $5,000. And it just lets you know what type of service it is. The same vendors we had last year, we have this year again. And then the final report is the certified financial audit report. And once we get the audited financial statements, we will then link those to the website, and then we'll link them to the Paris report. If there is any major change or anything, of course, Robin would alert you to it. But as of right now, it's those couple of highlighted ones where an FT might have gone from 37 to 40. And it'll be just a tweaking of those.
Right.
Very good. Well, we were just having a discussion about transparency, and this is a lot of effort in that regard as well.
And the Paris report is required by every IDA, correct? And it's monitored by the state.
It's monitored by the state.
So it's kind of another audit on top of our audit.
Absolutely. And it's also, once finalized, posted on our website. So,
Well, it's great information, the 85 pages of every project going back.
And I think that the website allows us to compare, you're able to
So,
look at past years. And
on the website, we post 3 years back. So once the 2025 is filed, we'll have 2025, 24, and 23. It's likely that I will ask that we keep 22 on there as well through mid-year, and then we'll remove it. Just if someone is interested in comparing 23 to 22. But we're obligated to have 3 years on the website.
Does the state have a website with all the Paris reports?
They do.
Okay. I mean, obviously they should.
Right, they do.
You got some free time, Jamie?
No. Just, some are in trouble at
Right.
times and,
And the state goes as far as to list the IDAs that are in active and revoked status. So if there's an IDA that can no longer incentivize, that's available for anyone's knowledge as well, so.
Good.
great.
So do we need to make a vote to pass this report as it's?
I'm not sure whether it's
Yeah, usually you would vote
And
to
it-
approve the Paris report.
okay.
I mean, at this point, but I
And
think
it
you
will
have,
be, we have to have it filed by March 31st, 90 days after the close. So that's when we have to submit it. Right now, it's in unsubmitted status.
With that information, I think otherwise we'd have to call a special meeting.
Well, as I said, the only thing would be is if something major came up different from what we're going to be submitting.
All right.
I don't see that.
Can we make a motion that, subject to something coming up that's extraordinary, we pass the report as we've discussed with those changes that would be mentioned?
yeah, so I'll make a motion to approve the Paris report, barring no extraordinary or material adjustments that must be made without us knowing. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's what the.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Amy Bondieri,
Approved.
Tom McCown,
Approve.
Jane Dracone,
Approve.
Diane Belmonte,
Approve.
Christopher Munn,
Approve.
Mark Law.
Approved. So, that's the end of our new business section, although I think we did not discuss in the meeting time the fact that the Destination Duchess 2025 annual report, they're not joining us today for starters. We had a very full report in February, although probably that was for the quarter, not for the full year.
So February, Destination Duchess reported on full year 2025.
That was the full year.
So their intention was to report on, today was to report on fiscal year 2025 data on hotel and short-term vacation rental occupancy, along with credit card spending across retail, restaurants, arts and attractions and entertainment. That information has been, I thought it was added to the packet.
Yes, it's on the-
No, okay, so,
It's on your email.
okay.
It's on the
It was-
email?
It was emailed to you all.
Okay, so has that presentation been postponed or it's just, we're gonna have the electronic version?
There was a bit of confusion, and Destination Duchess was not to be on the agenda for today because they presented in February their full year for 2025.
Gotcha.
They then come in April to present for the quarter. And so they mixed up the dates for which meeting they were to appear.
Okay.
But, and as such, I didn't catch it until last evening.
Okay.
So the specific information, which
Is
is
supplemental,
supplemental, we can hear
Correct.
in April.
correct,
Right.
That sound fine?
correct.
Do you have that in an email
It's been provided in an email, yes.
from Destination Duchess?
It's in the
Oh, in
packet
the
that
packet,
was
okay.
sent to the board,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, I don't know if it was.
So,
far enough.
all of our partners, we have two partners who present full year in February. That's Agribusiness, we had Todd, and Mullane came last month also for tourism. They're the two that present annually in February. On a quarterly basis, we have Mullane for Destination Dutchess comes to present, and WEDC's information is rolled into the Think Dutchess stats, and that is read out in quarterly meetings. So in April, and then again, I think in July, and then we do the same in November, and then the full year is then presented the following February. And so this was purely a mistake that I did not catch. And
but
the
her
information to be presented today was supplemental.
Yeah, her packet last meeting had everything, the stays, the clicks, everything.
Yeah.
So,
And she presented 2025 data.
Right.
In February.
Yeah, all of it.
So, yes.
so one thing that you, yeah, right. So one thing that you just mentioned was the WEDC component as a partner with us.
Yes.
And we were discussing this earlier, and I think it's a good idea that, since we don't get a presentation from them, that those quarterly meetings, there'd be a bit more of a narrative that goes with it, because I think we don't, as a group, really know very much about how they operate. I mean, maybe individuals amongst us do, but as a group we don't. So maybe that's a narrative on a quarterly basis, and surely maybe there's an annual presentation of some kind, so that we feel more joined at the hip than we are now.
Absolutely. And what has been presented in past, I'm coming on board, as many of you know, November 2025. So what has occurred in the past is the stats have been presented quarterly. And
In
there
our
wasn't,
reports,
in the reporting, there hasn't been a narrative. And so Q1 data for 2026 for WEDC, as well as for the work done under Think Dutchess, will be a narrative component in addition to the stats. That way there's a little more information that's shared out on the activity that occurs. Yeah.
Right. So if there's not anything more, Robin, from you,
Nothing more from me?
will adjourn the IDA meeting.